I'd like to call the January 14, 2025 Public Safety Meeting to order. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to approve the December 10th meeting minutes?
There was one thing to point out. It says that Chief Bush was present, and then it also says that he was absent.
I noticed that, and I
Can't-
figured
You can't be both.
he can't do
Did
I was here.
both.
We'll correct that.
We will correct that.
Good catch.
With that correction, do I have approval of the December 10th meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we get started under ordinances and resolutions, I would just like to tell Chief Bush and the Hendersonville Fire Department we're very sorry for the loss of Captain Dallenbach, and our thoughts and prayers are with all of you. And if you need anything, you'll let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, under ordinances and resolutions, number one, ordinance 2025-01, Hendersonville Municipal Code, Title 4, Chapter 3, Section 4303, approving repositioning of the field training responsibilities within the Hendersonville Police Department. Chief Jones, would you like to update us and give us your synopsis of that?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a number of, well, let me back up. Previously, the Master Patrol Officer position, which is tasked with their primary responsibility is the training of all new officers. And what we ran into this time, we've been talking about this program previously. Our training division is constantly looking at ways to make training better for our new officers. And they came up with a program and they presented it to me to utilize a field training officer program instead of the Master Patrol Officer program. And so we kind of looked at that, looked at what other agencies were doing, and we definitely feel like this is beneficial to the police department and to the city. So what we've run into over time is sometimes we have Master Patrol officers that initially they want to be trainers, and then over time they maybe get a little bit burnt out and want to do something different. But because it's a promotion, they're still getting paid to train new officers, whether they're training or not. So this program, what it does is we identify people who are interested in performing the training function, and then making sure that they have the proper training to do that and are positioned to be able to do that. And then what we do is utilize them as training officers for our new officers. They only get paid while they're training. So we feel like that financially is beneficial to the city in that they're only being paid while they're doing that job. When they don't have a trainee, they make their normal pay salary. And one of the things that we noticed other agencies were doing, and I feel like, again, that's beneficial for the city, is as opposed to an increase in pay, we just provide them for every day or every shift that they have a trainee, they get an hour of overtime. Because what we found is a lot of our employees would prefer to take that instead of pay from the city, they would rather take that as comp time, which will allow them to take time off at a later time that's convenient to them. So by doing that, we save paying out that extra money and allow them to take the time off when it's convenient for them. So, and it gives us a greater opportunity to have more people designated as training officers. So in a training cycle, you may have several FTOs training people and several that are not actually assigned a trainee at that time. And then if we have a trainer that goes out because they're sick or because of military leave or because of some other issue, we have other people ready to step in and do that job. Whereas with the MPO program, we don't just have somebody waiting to step into that position if we have a problem. What brought this up to this point is we had not promoted anyone to fill an MPO vacancy due to a resignation. And then one of our other MPOs was actually called up to active duty in the military and is deployed overseas. So we don't have him here. And we had more trainees coming out of the recruit school than we had trainers available. So we had to go ahead and try to get this program going. Our plan is we don't want to take a promotion away from anybody that currently has it. We don't feel like that's a fair thing to do. But we will not continue to promote new people into the Master Patrol Officer program. So through promotion or attrition, that program will eventually go away.
So it will be a cost savings.
It will. It will. We feel like it will definitely, because the cost to pay, and even if we paid them an hour of overtime for every shift that they have a trainee, that's less than paying them for the entire year of doing the job when they don't have a trainee the entire year.
How long will it take to phase out the MPOs that are currently there for in that position?
That's a little more difficult to determine
Because it
because,
involves retirement, I said.
well, it would involve either a promotion if they promote to a new position. So our MPOs are eligible to test for the position of corporal or detective. So it depends on the openings we have and whether they have an interest in that area. If they're promoted, we just wouldn't fill that slot with another MPO. Or if somebody who's an MPO chooses to resign or retire, then we would not fill that with another MPO.
And how many MPOs do we have now?
Boy, I knew that number too. I believe we're authorized 11 MPOs and we currently have 8.
Okay. So the other question I had was on the FTOs getting the hour overtime. If they decide to take it as pay as opposed to leave, how does that affect the payroll?
So we have an overtime budget already. So in our salary line, because we have an MPO position that we're not paying right now because we have not promoted another MPO, that's a significant savings. And then while the MPO that we have is deployed on military duty, we're not paying his salary at all at this point. So just between those two, that's going to fully cover that hour of overtime for any of our current FTOs for the trainees that are in training. And those current MPOs that are still here and working are still expected to train new officers. They're not going to be, we're not going to relieve them of that responsibility because they still hold the position. If they choose that they don't want to train anymore, they can voluntarily demote. We're just not going to take it away from them.
Okay.
Absent some other reason. So it's hard to really say how long it would take them to either get promoted or,
Or what changes might occur, yeah.
Right. So.
Any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
I have motion to send this to BOMA with a positive recommendation.
I agree.
All in favor?
Aye. Second, I meant.
Motion, that's okay. I think I forgot to ask for a motion. Motion passed. Okay, now on to resolution 2025-01. Resolution to apply for the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response known as the SAFER grant through FEMA. Do I have a motion? You have to have a motion to discuss it first.
Yes, so moved.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we can discuss after you have
Okay.
the motion. So this is our annual SAFER grant
Yes, ma'am.
that we need because we had an email with the time and when you're short, when you're not short, all of that. Y'all looked at that?
I have looked at that.
Okay. It's a little confusing, but
It's a lot of information.
Well, which I had a question about that. Can I go ahead and ask a question?
go, yeah,
On the pie charts, part of the confusion I was looking at, and I'd go back, but for some reason on the pie charts, flip to one and I can show you the colors change. Now,
do you want this one?
well, that one, the colors, the one I had different colors.
That's probably on. There's quite a few of those in there as well.
Because, so one of the things that I looked at was vacation time on one chart for 1 month was, I'm gonna say pink, and the next month was red. And then you go back a page and the vacation time was yellow. So it took me a while to
Here you
figure
go.
that out. Yeah. Those are all the same colors though. Here's an example. 42.3% is vacation, which is, I'm gonna call teal. And up here it's green and something else is teal. Sick leave is teal.
That could just be
It's
Valerie.
the different months.
Yeah, it's just different months, identify them as different colors in different months. I don't want to speak on her behalf of how they come up with that color code, but I'm assuming that that is because it's a different month. It has nothing to do, it's not consistent like you're
It's not
saying.
consistent from month to month.
From month to
Change
month.
the colors on you.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that made it confusing for me, but I figured it out. And what the charts are telling us is, especially this bar chart, is we are meeting our goals, but just barely.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Pretty
It takes 29 folks. I mean, I know there was, I saw some of that or all of that. There was discussion about 27 or 29. 27 is not counting the two supervisors that we have, division chief and battalion chief. And those are two positions that are necessary, so they count for staffing. And basically with 37 people is what every shift is supposed to have. But the last year, we've kind of been hit pretty hard with FMLAs, folks leaving, retiring out, whatever. And the academy only being twice a year, we ran about 6 months, 7 people down. We gained 7 in the academy that just graduated, and we're already going to be 4 down until the academy starts. The mayor and Jesse have agreed. We got a guy retiring in June. We know of that. We're already prepping those 5 folks to get in the academy in February, and that should have us back up to full staff, but that will not be till May of 2025. That will be completely full again. And then I've got 2 guys on different shifts that are out on FMLA right now, and another one that's fixing to go out.
And I can't find it right at the moment, but you carried over.
There were several.
Not vacation that people couldn't take from last year to this year, 2,400 hours.
I think that's correct. The mayor signed quite a few of those forms this year because of that. He understands that. They know the limitations for that. They're supposed to use it by March 31st. We've talked to the division chiefs about getting those folks in the books first, so that time will not be taken back from them. It just kind of limits us. So like when you have 37 people, then you got 2 out on FMLA. C shift was the hardest hit shift this last year. He was down 4 or 5 people for like several months. And what happens is folks have turned in vacation previously and they may have a trip planned. And they plan for that. We're not going to pull vacation. That will kill morale. If you start telling people, oh no, you got to cancel, you're already paid for vacation. They're losing money. It will create a morale issue. So it has cut them short for those months for FMLA injuries, things that we can't predict for. And so then you got 2 Kelly days on every day. So that number of 37 drops to 35
Do you know
automatically.
what
No,
Kelly
I
days
don't
are?
want to kill
Can
it.
you-
So a Kelly day is under FLSA law. They went to a 27-day cycle. The city did many years ago. And that 12-hour Kelly day is to keep from paying scheduled overtime. So if we had those folks on shift, they would count as part of 37, but because they have to take that 12 hours every month, we lose people every month due to Kelly days. And a lot of months or a lot of days of the month are 2 or 3 people on Kelly days. And that hurts staffing numbers. Then we have some new folks and we have recommendations, well, not recommendations, requirements for them to go to training. So then you put those folks in training, you've got the Kelly days, you're really reducing the opportunity for folks to be able to take off.
When will you hear about this grant?
Well, we're waiting for the letter to come out. I mean, the notification to come out that they're accepting them. We're ready to go. This is again, just asking for permission to apply. When it involves money, we'll have to come back and say 6, 9, whatever we land on. And is BOMA willing to spend that money after the 3-year mark, if that's what they stipulate?
Go ahead.
And so if we say we want 9, will they get it? And if you're approved for it, will they give us the 9, or could they come back and say, we're only going to approve 3 or 6?
Typically, whatever you ask for, we've never had a reduction. I know in 2018, 19, was the last one that we got. And I think we got 18 or 19 folks at once.
Okay.
So we went from 103 to 122.
Okay.
And they've never reduced the number.
They've never reduced.
Correct.
Okay. And I think we've talked about this before, but I've forgotten. If they do give us 6 or 9 or whatever that number may be, and we decide that we don't need that many, we don't have to use all they give us, do we?
You don't, but there's a risk with that. So if they say we were going to award you with 12 or we're going to award you 9, whatever, and you say, well, we only want 6, just remember we got to have multiples of 3 because we have 3 shifts. So if you knocked it to 2, that would only help 2 shifts. It wouldn't help the other shift. But yes, if we got accepted for 9, 12, whatever the number would be, if you said, well, we only want half of that, 6 of that, then there's the possibility they come back and say, well, we wanted to give you 12. You don't want your 12. We're going to pull it away from you, or we're not going to give it to you at all.
Okay.
And what's the time frame?
It's
Usually when do you hear?
I mean, so they're going to start, hopefully going to open that up in February. It's usually about 4 months. So it would probably be summer, maybe. When is it? February, March, April, May, June. Yes, ma'am.
The latest.
Hopefully. Now that's the federal government, and we're fixing to go through a change, so
Maybe it'll be quicker.
could be. You never know, right?
Could speed up,
Absolutely.
And what month is the second Academy of the Year?
So they do one in February and they do one in August.
In August. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Now, we interviewed folks today for those 5 positions that we got permission to put in the academy. The academy right now officially has 3 spots reserved for us. 2 are on standby. So that means if somebody else drops out, we can put those 2 in. But we did find out that 2 of the folks that had applied with us, one of them's working currently with the city of Portland. Then we have another guy that has 64 hour, which is required for a volunteer. That's not adequate hours for us to feel comfortable for them to turn them out on a company. We would start them on the same date as the other 3 and send them, those 3 to the academy. We would keep the other 2 on board. I would push for our staff to train them to challenge the firefighter 1 test and then get with the state and either go use the weekend and do a live burn weekend or get with Goulitsville or Gallatin and get checked off at one of their facilities and not wait till August to get those folks ready. Those other 2.
So let me ask you this. If let's say, I'm just throwing things out there. If you were to get, if we do the SAFER grant and you were to get turned down and you found out in June, if we had a rapid meeting to approve more before the meeting, could you get more done, like for the new budget year to get new firefighters?
So after today, we exhausted our current eligibility list. So in the spring, as soon as the weather breaks, we're going to do another hiring.
So you'll have.
So we'll have an eligible list.
Could you get them in that academy that quick?
All I got to do is whatever number we decide that you want is tell them names. And I'll say this, but they require a name, but we don't, until we interview them, we don't know who that's going to be. So we've been giving them my name, his name, Gabe's name. And then we say, oh, wait a minute, we've changed. We're not hiring that folks. We're hiring so-and-so when we give them the real name.
Okay.
Yeah, we go back and tell them, hey, you've been on the job for 30 years. You got to go back to the academy and prove that you know what you're doing. But it's how they want to play the game. I mean, it's all we can do. Because if we don't reserve the spots, then we're not guaranteed the spots.
Okay.
Why me?
Well, I mean, he had to go too. Yeah. So.
Any questions?
Yes, let me ask you this. So in 3 years, this grant's good for 3 years.
Yes, sir.
To fund the number of firefighters we pick. Who picks that number, 9 or 12?
That's decided with Bowman and input based off that information that was sent out.
Which that information there looks like we're 6 people short.
At least.
At least 9 would or buffer that. 12 would be a great number. Or
12 would be an ideal number.
Okay.
I said when we opened Station 7 that we should hire 12.
okay. So with that said, it also says in 3 years, then the city has to fund salaries of these people.
Yes, sir.
Being 9 or 12, 9 and at the rate of 100,000 a year is what we need to estimate.
And so yes, sir, we estimated because we don't want to cut short, right? We don't leave money out that the city has to fork up, right? So we're trying to factor in everything. If they have a college education, they come to us with EMT, all of those stipends, things that are included in that pay, that $100,000 covers all that. salaries, benefits, the whole 9 yards. So we shoot high and we might hire somebody that is going to make 70, right? Depending on what degree they have, if they have an associate's. And so that money, we just turn around and say, hey, we're not using that. The federal gov just takes that back.
Okay. But the city has to figure out how to fund.
After
an
that
extra
3 years,
$1 million
if that's,
or so.
if that's what they do, yes, sir. After those first 3 years, if they decide to do 3 years, no cost, 100%, then the city has a decision to make to either continue to carry that on or obviously tell those folks they're laid off or gone.
So that would be the other side of the coin is, sorry, we're not funding it.
If the board chooses
And
to
we're
do,
back to
choose,
being short on firefighters.
yes, sir.
Has that ever happened?
No.
That would be terrible.
Yes.
Any more questions? Do I have a motion?
I would motion that we send it to BOMA with a positive recommendation.
Do you have a number you want to put with it?
I feel like 9's a good number. It's in between what we gotta have and ideal. This is the reason I say that.
I mean, obviously, over the years, I've learned not to argue if you say 9. I would always like to have 12, right? I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be dishonest. But if you folks land on 9, then we'll take the 9 and we will certainly make that work.
What are your thoughts on the number, Jenna?
I like 9. I think, what do you think?
I'm fine with 9.
I think 9.
With 9 being our recommendation of number of officers.
So give me a motion.
Make a motion, we send it to BOMA with a positive recommendation to hire 9 firefighters, would that be the way to say it?
Using the safer grant.
Using the safer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Any other items? Anybody else have anything else? Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I made a note to try to talk to Jesse and Val about